Barbara Ann Brennan book, Hands of Light, A Guide to Healing the Human Energy Field. Highlights. History of the scientific investigation into the human energy field. Although mystics have not spoken of energy fields or bioplasmatic forms, their traditions over 5,000 years in all the parts of the globe are consistent with the observations scientists have recently begun to make. Spiritual tradition. Adepts of all religions speak of experiencing or seeing light around people's heads. Through such religious practices as meditation and prayer, they reach states of expanded consciousness which open their latent high sense perception abilities. Ancient Indian spiritual tradition, over 5,000 years old, speaks of a universal energy called prana. This universal energy is seen as the basic constituent and source of all life. Prana, the breath of life, moves through all forms and gives them life. Yogis practice manipulating this energy through breathing techniques, meditation, and physical exercises to maintain altered states of consciousness and youth far beyond their normal span. The Chinese, in the 3rd millennium BC, posited the existence of a vital energy which they call qi. All matter, animate and inanimate, is composed of and pervaded with this universal energy. This qi contains two polar forces, the yin and yang. When the yin and the yang are balanced, the living system exhibits physical health. When they are unbalanced, a disease state results. Overly powerful yang results in excessive organic activity. Predominant yin makes for insufficient functioning. Either imbalance results in physical illness. The ancient art of acupuncture focuses on balancing the yin and yang. Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical theosophy, which began around 538 BC, refers to these same energies as the astral light. Christian religious paintings portray Jesus and other spiritual figures surrounded by field of light. In the Old Testament, there are numerous references to the light around people and lights appearing, but over the centuries these phenomena lost their original meaning. For example, Michelangelo's statue of Moses shows Carneim as two horns on his head rather than the two beams of light the word originally referred to. In Hebrew, this word can mean either horn or light. John White, in his book Future Science, lists 97 different cultures that refer to the auric phenomena with 97 different names. Many esoteric techniques, the ancient Hindu Vedic text, Theosophists, Rosicrucers, the Native American medicine people, the Tibetans, and the Indian Buddhists, the Japanese Zen Buddhists, Madame Blavatsky, and Rudolf Steiner, to mention a few, describe the human energy field in details. Recently, many with modern scientific training have been able to add observation on a concrete physical level. Throughout the history, the idea of universal energy pervading all nature has been held by many Western scientific minds. This vital energy, perceived as a luminous body, was first recorded in Western literature by the Pythagoreans around 500 BC. They held that its light could produce a variety of effects in a human organism, including the cure of illness. The mathematician Hammond in 1900s visualized a universal fluid that pervades all nature and is not a corporeal or condensable matter, but the pure vital spirit that penetrates all bodies. Count Wilhelm von Reichenbach spent 30 years during the mid-800s experimenting with a field which he called the odic force. He found that it exhibited many properties that were similar to the electromagnetic field that James Clerk Maxwell had described early in the 19th century. He also found many properties were unique to the odic force. He determined that the poles of a magnet exhibit not only magnetic polarity, but also a unique polarity associated with this odic field. Other objects, such as crystals, also exhibit this unique polarity without themselves being magnetic. Poles of the odic force field exhibit the subjective properties of being hot, red, and unpleasant, or blue, cold, and pleasant to the observation of sensitive individuals. Furthermore, he determines that opposite poles do not attract as in electromagnetic. He found that with the odic force, like poles attract or like attracts like. This is a very important auric phenomenon, as we will see later. Von Reichenbach found that the greatest concentration of this energy lay within the red and the blue-violet range of the solar spectrum. He stated that opposite charges produced subjective feelings of warmth and cold in varying degrees of power that he was able to relate to the periodic table through a series of blind tests. He also found that odic field could be conducted through a wire, that the velocity of condition was very slow, approximately 4 meters per second or 13 feet per second, and that the velocity seemed to depend on the mass density of the material rather than on electrical conductivity of the material. Further, objects could be charged with this energy in a way similar to charging by the use of electrical field. Other experiments demonstrated that part of this field could be focused like light through a lens, while another part would flow around the lens, similar to the manner in which a candle flames flows around objects placed in its path. This deflected portion of odic field would also react like a candle flame when subjected to air currents, suggesting the composition is similar to gaseous fluid. These experiments showed the auric field has properties that suggest it to be both particular in a nature like fluid and also energetic like light waves. Von Reichenbach found that the force in a human body produced a polarity similar to that present in a crystal along their major axes. Based on this experimental evidence, he described the left side of the body as a minus pole and the right side of the body as a plus pole. This is a concept similar to the ancient Chinese yin and yang principles mentioned earlier. Since 1900s, many medical doctors have been interested in a phenomenon as well. Dr. William Kellner, a medical doctor, reported on his studies of the human energy field as seen through colored screen and filters. He described having seen glowing mist around the whole body in 3 zones. A quarter-inch dark layer closer to the skin, surrounded by B, more vaporous layer, an inch wide streaming perpendicularly from the body, and C, somewhat further out, a delicate exterior luminosity with identified contours around 6 inches across. Kellner found that the appearance of the aura, as he called it, differs considerably from subject to subject, depending on age, sex, mental ability, and health. Certain diseases showed as patches or irregularities in the aura, which led Kellner to develop a system of diagnosis on the basis of the color, texture, volume, and general appearance of the envelope. Dr. Wilhelm Reich, a physiatrist and a colleague of Freud in early part of 20th century, became interested in a universal energy field he named orgon. He studied the relationship of disturbances of the organ flow in the human body to physical and psychological illnesses. In the period of 1930s through the 1950s, Reich experimented with these energies using the latest electronic and medical instrumentation at the time. He observed this energy pulsating in the sky and around all organic and inanimate objects. He observed pulsation of organ energy radiating from microorganisms using a specially constructed high-power microscope. Reich constructed a variety of physical apparatus for the study of the organ field. One was the accumulator, which was capable of concentrating organ energy and which he used to charge objects with the energy. More recently, Dr. Caragula has correlated visual observations made by sensitives to physical disorder. For instance, a clairvoyant named Diane was able to observe the energy patterns of ill people and to describe very accurately what the medical problems were, from brain disorders to obstructions in the colon. These observations of etheric body revealed a vital energy body or field which forms a matrix which interpenetrates the dense physical body like a sparkling web of light beams. This energetic matrix is the basic pattern upon which the physical matter of the tissue is shaped and anchored. The tissues exist as such only because of this vital field behind them. Dr. Caligula also correlated chakra disturbance with illness. Dr. Valerie Hunt saw auric colors that correlated with the same frequency wave patterns. The results of research in progress show the following color frequency correlation. Blue, 250 to 275 Hz plus 1200 Hz. Green, 250 to 475 Hz. Yellow, 500 to 700 Hz. Orange, 950 to 1050 Hz. Red, 1000 to 1200 Hz. Violet, 1000 to 200 plus 300 to 400 Hz. 600 to 800 Hz. White, 1100 to 2000 Hz. These frequency bands, except for the extra bands at blue and violet, are in reverse order of rainbow color sequencing. Dr. Hunt says, throughout the centuries in which sensitives have seen and described the auric emissions, this is the first objective electronic evidence of frequency, amplitude, and time which validates their subjective observation of color discharge. Dr. Hunt also stated that chakras frequency carried the colors stated in a metaphysical literature like Kundalini red, hypogastic orange, spleen yellow, heart green, throat blue, third eye violet, and crown white. Activity in a certain chakras seemed to trigger increased activity in another. The heart chakra was constantly the most effective. Subjects had many emotional experiences, images, and memory recalls connected with the different body areas rolfed. These findings give credence to the belief that memory of the experiences is stored in a body tissue. Then, when the muscle tension and strain is released, so is the memory. Another example of holding memory tension is the tight shoulders that many of us live with. This comes from holding fear or anxiety in the shoulders. You may ask yourself, what is it that you are afraid you will not be able to accomplish? Or what do you think will happen if you don't succeed? If we define the human energy field as a field or emanations from the human body, we can see that many well-known components of the human energy field have been measured in a laboratory. There are electrostatic, magnetic, electromagnetic, sonic, thermal, and visual components of the human energy field. All these measurements are consistent with normal psychological processes of the body and go beyond them to provide a vehicle for psychosomatic functioning. Dr. Hunt's measurements show defined frequencies for defined colors of the aura. These frequencies may have higher overtone that were not recorded due to the limitation of the laboratory equipment involved. Measurements listed above also show the human energy field to be particulate in a nature and to have fluid-like motion, like air or water currents. These particles are very tiny, even subatomic, according to some investigations. When charged minute particles move through in clouds, they are usually called plasmas by physicists. Plasmas follow certain physical laws that led physicists consider them to be a state between energy and matter. Many of the properties of a human energy field measured in laboratory suggests a fifth state of matter, which some scientists call bioplasma. These studies show that ordinary model of the body consisting of a systems like a digestive system is insufficient. An additional model based on a concept of an organizing energy field need to be developed. The model of a complicated electromagnetic field does not completely serve this purpose. Many of the physical phenomena associated with the human energy field, such as a precognition or being aware of a past life information, cannot be explained by this model. According to Dr. Valerie Hunt, the body can be viewed from a quantum concept of energy streaming from an atomic cellular nature of the functioning body, which cuts across all tissues and the systems. She suggests that the holographic view of the human energy field would be a good one. The hologram concept emerging in physics and brain research appears to provide a truly unifying cosmic view of reality, which demands reinterpretation of all biological findings on another plane.